Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're jumping right in to trace a direct line from that smartphone sitting in your pocket right now, straight to the foundation of global democratic backsliding. We are talking about an invisible data machinery, and it's something that affects every single one of us.
So, let's think about your local city council or school board elections. Now, for decades, a campaign saw you basically as just a name, an address, and maybe a party affiliation on a public list. But today? Well, that reality is completely obsolete. To a modern campaign, you aren't just a voter anymore. You're a highly detailed, aggregated profile. I mean, we're talking about a digital blueprint made up of your income, your religious habits, the apps on your phone, and the physical places you visit. Local campaigns are actually bypassing traditional town halls because, frankly, they don't need to speak to the whole town anymore. They use this blueprint to micro-target your specific individual anxieties. Okay, so you're probably wondering, where did they get this blueprint? They buy it. Massive political data brokers, firms like TargetSmart, i360, L2, and Data Trust, literally harvest what are called mobile advertising IDs, or MAIDs. These are unique identifiers scraped directly from the apps you use every single day. You know, like that weather tracker or free mobile game. That data gets packaged and sold to campaigns operating on extremely tight local budgets.
And what's really fascinating here is the use of a tactic called geofencing. These data brokers take historical GPS pings from your phone to perfectly map your physical whereabouts. So it's not just about knowing your home address anymore. If your location services are on, your daily movements are being packaged and sold as a commodity.
Let me give you a real-world example of how this plays out. Campaigns actually purchase location data to map the devices of people attending specific gatherings. For instance, a group might map a Midwest church service just to push faith-based digital ads straight to the phones of people sitting in the pews. Or, conversely, firms will capture data from political protests, which allows candidates to instantly pinpoint and track politically active residents. But it goes way beyond just where you go. They're actually predicting what you believe. Based on your browsing habits and purchases, brokers build these complex algorithms to give you predictive scores. Candidates for, say, a school board might use a COVID concern score to push tailored education platforms. Or fringe campaigns might buy databases that predict a voter's likelihood to support right-wing militias or their belief in voter fraud. It's incredibly niche.
And the sheer frequency of this is wild. Once they know what you care about, candidates use IP matching tech from brokers like El Toro to tie your physical address to your home's Wi-Fi router. The result? They can blast these hyper-targeted ads to your home up to 3 times a day across your phone, your laptop, your smart TV, all while your neighbor sees absolutely nothing.
Now, if you thought your financial life was off limits, think again. Major consumer credit agencies, we're talking giants like Experian and TransUnion, actually double as political data brokers. They actively lease out your commercial habits and financial data, creating an incredibly invasive household profile.
Imagine a local county executive race focused on property taxes. A campaign can filter their list specifically for homeowners who recently fell behind on utility bills or applied for refinancing. So, if you're struggling financially, your phone might suddenly buzz with a customized text promising property tax relief. It's essentially weaponizing your private financial stress for a vote.
So the absolutely crucial takeaway here is how this micro-targeting allows completely contradictory narratives to play out on the exact same street. A dog-owning family might get ads all about local park safety, while the union member right next door gets ads attacking union overreach. The entire goal is to ensure neighbors never see each other's ads, which completely fragments our shared political reality.
Right, let's zoom out for a second. We've talked a lot about the hyper-local level. But what happens when these exact same invisible data tactics are scaled up and deployed by an entire national government?
This brings us to a pretty chilling realization. Modern authoritarianism is practically invisible. Actually, scratch that Hollywood image of a movie-style dictatorship with military tanks rolling down the street. It doesn't look like that anymore. Instead, it looks like a perfectly functioning society where dissent is technically legal, but the ruling party uses this exact tech infrastructure and surveillance to permanently tilt the playing field.
Political scientists have a name for this well-documented phenomenon. They call it democratic backsliding, which leads to the rise of what are known as hybrid regimes. In a hybrid regime, elections still happen, mostly to maintain the illusion of democracy. But because the state has completely weaponized surveillance and electoral data, the opposition fundamentally cannot win.
And to be clear, this isn't some dystopian sci-fi warning for the distant future. We can already see this fully realized across the globe right now.
Several nations operate as technical democracies today, but underneath, they are deeply rigged playing fields.
Just look at countries like Hungary, India, and Turkey. In Hungary, leaders avoid violent crackdowns, but heavily weaponize state data and rewrite election laws. In India, tax authorities and massive digital surveillance are used to pressure political opponents. And in Turkey, the state relies on internet censorship and a heavily controlled judiciary. There are no violent dictatorships here, just invisible mechanisms perfectly designed to ensure the opposition is permanently disadvantaged.
Seeing that global trend, you are probably wondering exactly how the United States fits into this reality today. Are we heading down this exact same path?
Well, the short answer is that the U.S. is not currently classified as a hybrid regime, but it is caught in an incredibly intense tug-of-war. On one side, you have this massive, powerful data and surveillance infrastructure. And on the other side, you have our traditional democratic guardrails, like independent courts and local elections, fighting tooth and nail to resist that centralization.
Make no mistake, the foundational building blocks are actively assembled. The infrastructure is already here. Federal agencies, ICE, and even local police departments currently have access to these commercial data brokers, facial recognition technology, and communication dragnets. The tools required to seamlessly monitor the population are plugged in and powered on.
Meanwhile, we're seeing legislative pushes attempting to centralize and automate control over voting. We can see this in the restructuring of the Election Assistance Commission, or through bills like the Save America Act. Regardless of where you fall on the political spectrum, these efforts demonstrate a clear desire to consolidate power, causing our traditional legislative guardrails to really fray under the pressure. So why hasn't the U.S. tipped over into a completely tilted playing field just yet? Well, it's because of active countermeasures. Independent federal courts are frequently stepping in to block partisan election laws. We have a free press that actively exposes corporate data overreach. And crucially, our highly decentralized state election systems make top-down federal control incredibly difficult to pull off.
Ultimately, the United States is in a critical transition phase. The warning from the data is absolutely clear. The tools for a permanently tilted playing field have been built. The invisible machinery required to alter our democracy is fully assembled, sitting right beneath the surface of our digital lives.
I want to leave you with this provocative thought to consider. Whether we slide into a hybrid regime depends entirely on whether those remaining institutions hold. Can our democratic guardrails truly withstand the sheer, relentless pressure of this technological architecture? Keep that in mind the next time a hyper-specific, perfectly timed political ad pops up on your smart TV. Thanks for joining me for this explainer.